By the time she asked if I would ever date a single mom, I already cared way too much about her door. That was the stupid part. It was just a hollow core door on the third floor of an old brick building, the kind landlords buy in bulk. But when you spend your days fixing what other people ignore, you start to see things different. A loose hinge, a cheap lock, a frame that has taken one too many hits. You see where something will fail before it actually does. The hallway outside 3C smelled like wet carpet and takeout. The overhead light hummed and flickered. Someone had taped a cartoon sticker on the exit sign. It made the whole place feel like it was trying to be cheerful and tired at the same time. There was a fresh crack in the frame around 3C's lock. That was what brought me up here. A work order from the landlord who still called me kid, even though I was 32 and the one keeping his building from falling apart. I set my tool bag down and knocked once. Not loud, firm. I listened. Inside, I heard the soft pad of feet, then a pause, the faint clink of a chain sliding off a latch. The deadbolt turned, and the door opened 3 inches, no more. One brown eye looked through the gap at me. Calm, sharp, not scared, but on guard. "Can I help you?" she asked. Her voice was low and even, no shake in it. "Jake Miller," I said, holding up the work order so she could see the name and the number. "Building maintenance. Matt said your lock was sticking, and your frame took a hit." Her eye dropped to the paper, then to my tool bag, then back to my face. She used those few seconds to read me, the way I might inspect a wall for water damage, looking for cracks. "You got ID?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. I pulled my badge from my shirt pocket and held it in the gap. She studied it longer than most people do. Only when she was done did she open the door wider. The chain stayed on. I did not push it. "Sorry," she said. "I do this with everyone now." "No reason to be sorry," I said. "You are doing it right." She clicked the chain off and stepped back. "Come in," she said. "I'm Lauren Hayes." Quote. I stepped inside and let the door close behind me. Her place was small but cared for. The couch faced the window, not the TV. A blue blanket folded over the back. A row of tiny shoes lined up by the mat, 2 sizes at least. A pink backpack hung on a hook by the kitchen. The only real mess was a pile of crayons on the coffee table and a coloring book open to a half-finished page. A cartoon fox stared up at me from the paper, missing half its fur. The crack in the frame was right at shoulder level, splintered inward. Somebody had hit this door hard. Once. Maybe more. I crouched and ran my thumb along the damage. Cheap, soft wood. The kind you can mark with a fingernail. "Someone try the door?" I asked. Lauren leaned her hip against the counter, arms wrapped around herself like she was cold, even though the room was warm. "It's fine," she said. "It is not fine," I said. "Somebody put weight on it." She watched my face instead of the frame. I could feel her deciding how much to say. "Last week," she said finally, "my ex, he is not on the lease. I told him he cannot just show up. He did not like that." She said it like she was reading a weather report. "Just facts, no drama. You call the cops?" I asked. "I did," she said. "They came." He was gone by then. "They told me to get the lock looked at and to keep the chain on. And to call again if he comes back." Her mouth twisted a little when she said that last part. We both knew how that usually went. I nodded and set my tools out on the mat. Drill. Chisel. Longer screws, a solid strike plate. You cannot change a whole life with a door, but you can at least make it harder for trouble to walk in without asking. "How old?" I asked, nodding toward the backpack. 6, she said. "Emma, she is at school." Her voice softened on the name, like that one word was the warmest thing she had. I opened the door and looked at the jamb from the hall side, then closed it and checked how the lock caught. It stuck halfway, then jumped with a loud thunk. "How long has it been like this?" I asked. "A while," she said. "It got worse this month." "You should have called sooner," I said. "I did," she said. Matt kept saying he would send someone. Guess he finally meant it. I did not defend the landlord. Matt only cared when a problem might cost him real money. A broken lock on a single mom's door was not his top priority. I set the chisel and started cleaning out the crushed wood around the strike. Each tap of the hammer knocked loose soft fibers. The sound was sharp, steady. It filled the quiet room. Lauren moved around the kitchen while I worked. She was not one of those people who hovered over my shoulder, asking 100 questions. But she did not leave either. She stayed where she could see both me and the door. She poured coffee into a chipped mug and held the pot up. "You want some?" she asked. "Sure," I said. "Black is fine." She poured a second mug and set it on the counter near me. The smell cut through the dry wood dust with something warm and real. Cinnamon. Maybe a little vanilla. "You bake?" I asked. She shrugged one shoulder. "Used to," she said, "before I started working nights. Now I just cheat and put sugar and cinnamon in the coffee and pretend it is dessert." Quote. I smiled once, quick. She caught it. The corner of her mouth lifted and then fell again. "You work nights where?" I asked. "Hospital laundry," she said. "Third shift. Sheets do not complain as much as people do. It is fine." She said fine a lot, but nothing about this felt fine. I kept my focus on the work, because that is what I know how to do. I cut out the soft wood, then slid a strip of oak into the hollow I had carved. The oak was narrow, no thicker than my thumb, but it was strong. When I tapped it in, it locked tight against the frame. The pine gave way around it, like it was relieved to have something solid to lean on. Lauren watched my hands. Not like she was flirting, like she was measuring if I really knew what I was doing. "What's that?" she asked. "Hardwood shim," I said. The old screws were just biting into soft wood and drywall. The first good hit, and they ripped out. This gives the lock something real to grab. "So you are giving my door a backbone," she said. "Something like that," I said. I swapped the tiny factory screws for ones that reached deep. Each one pulled the strike plate in tight. The drill whined, then settled as metal met wood and held. "You live in the building?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "First floor, back corner. I keep my tools in the basement. Matt gets free labor when something breaks. I get cheap rent and space for my saws. It works." "You do this full time?" she asked. "Mostly," I said. "Maintenance for him, then I build custom stuff on the side. Tables, shelves, kitchen islands, when someone wants to feel fancy." She smiled again, a little more this time. "You like it?" she asked. "Fixing things?" I said. "Yeah, it is honest. Either it holds or it does not. No pretending." She went quiet at that, like the word pretending had hit somewhere close. When I was done with the lock, I closed the door and tested it. The bolt slid smooth into the new wood. When I hit the door with my shoulder, not hard but with some weight, it held. The frame did not even creak. I opened it again and stepped back inside. "Try it," I said. She set her mug down and took the knob. She turned it, closed the door, and locked it. The bolt clicked into place with a firm sound. Her shoulders dropped a little. "It feels different," she said. "Stronger," I said. "If someone hits this door now, the wall is what they are really hitting, not just the trim." She looked at the frame like she was seeing more than wood. "Thank you," she said. "No problem," I said. "If your ex shows up again and tries it, call the cops, then call me. I want to see how my work holds up." She huffed out a small laugh. "You say that like you are talking about a science project," she said. "In a way, I am," I said. "Pressure shows you what was built right, and what was just pretending to be solid." She leaned her shoulder against the wall and studied me for a second. "You always talk like that?" she asked. "About doors and pressure and pretending?" "Only when I have had enough coffee," I said. Her eyes warmed at that. Not a full smile, just a softer look. The wall clock in the kitchen ticked on. Outside, someone slammed a car door. Life kept moving. Inside, there was the small bubble of quiet around us that felt like it wanted to turn into something else if we let it. Lauren broke it first. "Can I ask you something personal?" she said. I wiped my hands on a rag. "You can ask," I said. "I can decide if I answer." "That is fair," she said. She looked down at her hands for a second, then back up at me. Her eyes were different now. Not sharp, not flat. Open, a little scared. "If this is weird, you can pretend you never heard it," she said. "I just need to know what someone like you thinks." "Someone like me?" I asked. She nodded. "A guy who shows up when something is broken," she said, "who has his life kind of together, who is not 22 and still figuring out laundry." I waited. My heart gave one solid, heavy beat, like it knew where this was going before I did. Lauren took a small breath. "Would you ever date a single mom?" she asked. For a second, I thought I misheard her. "Say that again," I said. She didn't look away. "Would you ever date a single mom?" Lauren asked. "Like, actually date her. Not mess around, not keep it casual, not pretend. Real dating." My first instinct was to crack a joke, say something easy and slide past it, but her face stopped me. She wasn't teasing. She was braced for impact, like she expected me to say no and needed to hear it fast. I leaned back against the wall and crossed my arms, buying myself a little time. "Is this a test?" I asked. "Or is this about you?" Her mouth twitched. "You're the one who said no pretending. I'm just following the theme." I looked at the tiny shoes by the door, at the pink backpack with a unicorn on it, at the half-colored fox on the coffee table. "This about Emma's dad?" I asked. "It's about me," she said, "about how people see me when they see her. You know how many guys I've met who are all in until they realized I have a kid? Suddenly they aren't ready. Suddenly I'm too much." Quote. Her voice didn't rise. That somehow made it hit harder. "I work nights," she went on. "I'm tired all the time. I have no extra money. I can't drop everything to go out last minute. I can't pretend I'm 25 and free. So yeah, I want to know if a guy who has his own place and his hands not covered in Cheeto dust would ever look at someone like me and see possible, or if it's just a romantic movie thing that does not happen in real life." I let that sit for a second. The clock ticked behind me, loud. "Okay," I said. "Honest answer?" "That's the only one I want," she said. "Then yes," I said. "I would." Her head jerked like she hadn't actually expected that. "You would," she repeated. "Yes," I said, "if I liked her, if I respected her, if she was raising a tiny human and still standing up straight. That's not a red flag. That's proof she can carry weight." Her eyes searched my face like she was trying to find the catch. "So the kid wouldn't scare you off?" she asked. "The kid would make me more careful," I said. "Which is a good thing. You don't walk on a floor with a child underneath it without checking your beams." She huffed a laugh then, small but real. "You and the building metaphors," she said. "It's how my brain works," I said. "Look, a single mom is not some special category. She's just a woman who already knows what real responsibility feels like. That means less flakiness, fewer games. It also means I don't get to be selfish. If I date her, I am dating her life." "That's the part that scares everyone," she said quietly. "It's supposed to," I said. "Big things should scare you a little. It keeps your hands steady." She went quiet again. Her fingers played with the edge of the counter. "So why aren't you dating anyone now?" she asked. "If you're so reasonable." I smiled, but it felt a little tired. "Because I've been building other things," I said. "The last few years, it's been work, work, work. My dad walked out when I was a kid. He left my mom with me, a leaky roof and a pile of bills. I watched her fix things one at a time. I promised myself I'd never be the guy who leaves people holding the bill. So I put my head down, saved, built up my tools, my work, my place." I shrugged. By the time I looked up, most people my age wanted festivals and road trips, I said. I wanted a steady job and a quiet night. We didn't match. Quote. Lauren studied me with a different kind of focus now. "So you don't run," she said. "Not my style," I said. "I stay and fix. Sometimes that means I stay too long in bad situations. But I do not leave people worse than I found them. That's the rule." Her throat moved like she was swallowing something heavy. "Good rule," she said. The air between us felt tight again, but it wasn't tense in a bad way. It felt loaded. like a beam taking on weight and holding. She looked away first, toward the backpack. I asked, because... She stopped, then shook her head. It's stupid. Ask anyway, I said. She took a breath. You're the first man in a long time who has come into my space and made it feel safer, not smaller, she said. You didn't act like fixing my door was doing me a favor. You acted like it was your job and my right. And when I said my ex hit the door, you didn't ask what I did to make him mad. My jaw tightened at that. Someone asked you that? I said. She nodded, jaw set. People ask things like that all the time, she said. They call it getting the full story. Quote. I shook my head once, sharp. Anger doesn't give you a license to hit doors, walls, people, full story or not, I said. That's not a gray area. Her eyes went shiny for half a second, but no tears fell. She didn't let them. Anyway, she said, voice rough. I didn't ask you the question, because I'm trying to get you to volunteer. I just needed to know if there are men out there who don't write me off on sight. There are, I said, at least one. We held each other's gaze. The quiet stretched. The jangle of keys in the hallway broke it. Someone walked past, whistling off-key. A door closed down the hall. Lauren stepped back like she'd suddenly remembered we were strangers. Sorry, she said. That got heavy. Heavy is okay, I said. Heavy is real. She gave me a small, crooked smile. I should let you go, she said. You probably have other doors to fix. Yeah, I said. Couple more on the list. I packed my tools slowly, giving her room to change her mind if she wanted to say more. She didn't, but she didn't walk away either. She stood by the counter, fingers tapping lightly against the surface like a nervous drum. When I picked up my bag, I nodded toward the door. Text me if the lock feels off, I said, or if he shows up again. I don't have your number, she said. I pulled a card from my pocket and slid it onto the table. It had my name, my small side business, and my cell. That rings in my pocket, I said. Day or night. If I don't pick up right away, I'll call back. Even at night, she asked. Night doesn't scare me, I said. Bad timing does. So if you call, I know it matters. She looked at the card like it was heavier than it looked. Thank you, she said, for the door. For answering the question. No problem, I said. I reached for the knob. Before I could turn it, she spoke again. Jake, she said. Yeah, I looked back at her. If I ever did ask you to, do more than fix the door, she said, cheeks flushing. I would not ask as a test. I held her gaze. Good, I said. Because I don't do test runs with people's lives. Quote. Something flickered in her eyes, a mix of fear and something else. Hope, maybe, or interest she was trying hard to hide. I stepped into the hallway. The light buzzed overhead. The air felt colder out here. As I pulled the door shut, I heard the new lock catch, solid and clean. That sound stayed in my head all the way down the stairs. That night, my phone buzzed. At 2:13 a.m., I woke fast. Old habit. I grabbed it off the crate I used as a nightstand. Unknown number, but local. One text. Jake, it's Lauren. I'm sorry to bother you. Are you awake? My heart rate kicked up, steady and sharp, like the sound of my drill on fresh wood. I typed back one word. Yes. I did not call her. I went. By the time the second text came in, I was already pulling on my jeans. He is here again. At the door. Emma is awake. My chest went tight. I shoved my feet into work boots, grabbed my hoodie, and was out the door in under 30 seconds. The building was quiet, that middle-of-the-night kind of quiet where any sound feels wrong. The stairwell smelled like dust and old heat. My boots hit each step, fast but steady. No running. Running makes you sloppy. I needed my hands calm. On the third floor, I heard him before I saw him. A heavy fist hit Lauren's door. Once. Twice. Too hard, like he wanted the whole floor to know. Lauren, a man's voice called, angry and dragged out. I know you are in there. Open the door. I stayed at the top of the stairs for 1 second and watched. I always look before I step in. He had his back to me, one hand braced on the frame. Tall, but a little soft around the middle. Ball cap. Hoodie. The kind of guy who thinks size is enough to win any fight. He hit the door again with his palm. "Lauren, I want to see my kid." "My kid." The words came out like a claim, not a care. I saw the deadbolt and chain in place. The frame I had fixed held straight. Good. I stepped down the last 2 stairs. "That is enough," I said. He spun fast. His eyes ran over me and narrowed. "Who are you?" he demanded. "Maintenance," I said. "For the building. And right now, I am the person telling you to move away from the door." He scoffed. "Man, this is between me and Lauren," he said. "Stay out of it." He turned back to the door and hit it again. Inside, I heard a smaller sound, a whimper, a child's voice. "Mom, make him stop." Lauren's voice was low but firm. "Emma, stay in your room. It's all right." It was not all right. Not yet. I stepped closer. Close enough that I could grab him if he tried the lock again. "You already broke this frame once," I said. "You are not doing it again." He frowned. "You the guy who put all that new hardware in?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "You think that makes you her hero or something?" He sneered. I kept my voice flat. "No," I said. "It makes me the one who knows that door will hold. You need to leave." He took 1 step toward me, trying to crowd me. I did not give ground. I have stood in front of swinging boards on job sites. This was the same. Pressure and timing. "You dating her?" he asked, chin lifting. "You think she is some prize you can just pick up? She is my family." "Then why is she inside with the chain on and you are out here yelling at a door?" I asked. His face flushed dark. "She locked me out," he snapped. "She moved my kid out of my place without a word. I got a right to see her." "You have a right to go to court and get a plan in writing," I said. "You do not have a right to pound on her door in the middle of the night and scare a 6-year-old. He laughed once, hard. "Listen to this guy," he said. "You read that on the internet? 15 years of watching men like you smash their way through cheap locks," I said. "It sinks in." He stepped in even closer. I could smell beer and cheap cologne under his hoodie. "You gonna stop me?" he asked. "You think I am scared of a dude with a toolbox?" My heart was beating hard now, but not fast. My hands were steady. I slid my phone out of my pocket and hit the side button twice. It started recording. Then I hit call and dialed 911, speaker off, leaving it in my hoodie pocket. The operator would hear enough. "I already did stop you," I said. "You hit that door again, and this turns into a police report with your name in it and a recording to back it up." His jaw clenched. "You a cop?" he asked. "No," I said, "just a man who knows how paper works." "Jake," Lauren's voice came through the door, tight. "Is he gone?" The guy's eyes widened. "So she sent you out here," he said. "You a guard dog now?" He raised his fist, like he might try to push past me. I shifted my stance, put my weight where I could move fast. The operator's voice came through my ear quietly. 911. "What is your emergency?" I did not answer out loud, just let the phone pick up his voice. "I am not going to say it again," I told him. "Step away from the door and leave. You do not want whoever is listening on this call to hear you threaten anyone." He looked from my face to my pocket and seemed to put it together. For a second, I saw the calculation behind his eyes. Jail, custody, records. "You are both crazy," he muttered. He backed up 2 steps, then 3. "Lauren," he called. "You better call me back, or you will be hearing a lot more from me." He turned and walked down the hall, muttering under his breath. I stayed where I was and listened until I heard the stairwell door open and close. Only then did I pull my phone out. "Sir, are you safe?" the operator asked. "He left," I said. "3rd floor of the Maple Street Apartments." Guy was banging on a door where there is a history of trouble. The woman inside has a kid. I have a recording if she wants to file something. "Officers are on the way to check," she said. "Please stay on scene if you can." "Yeah," I said. "I can." I hung up and turned back to the door. "Lauren," I said. "It's me. He is gone." The deadbolt clicked slowly. The chain rattled off. She opened the door partway and looked out. Her eyes were wide, pupils large in the dim hall. Her hand still held the frame. "Is he really gone?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "He is headed down. Patrol is coming to cruise by." She closed her eyes for a second. When she opened them, there were tears stuck on her lashes that did not fall. "Thank you," she said, voice low. "Can I come in?" I asked. "Just until the cops get here, so you are not alone." She nodded and stepped back. Inside, the air felt tight. Emma stood near the couch in a too-big t-shirt, clutching a stuffed bear. Her eyes were red, cheeks wet. "Is he mad?" Emma whispered. Lauren crossed to her and knelt. "He is gone," she said softly. "You are safe." Emma looked at me. "Who are you?" she asked. "I am Jake," I said, crouching so we were level. "I fixed your door today. I was just checking to make sure it still works." Her hand tightened on the bear. "Did it work?" she asked. I glanced at the frame, at the uncracked wood, at the lock that it held when it was tested. "It held," I said. "Your mom locked it." The door stayed strong. Emma nodded with a serious little face, like she was filing that away. Lauren's hand rested on the back of Emma's head. When our eyes met over the top of her hair, something moved between us. Not fireworks, not a movie moment. Something steady and slow, like a beam set down on fresh posts. A knock sounded again, softer this time. Official. "Police," a voice called. "Building security." Lauren stiffened. Emma flinched. I stood. "I've got it," I said. I opened the door and stepped out to talk to them. 2 officers. One older, one younger. I gave them the short version. X. Previous damage to the door. New hit tonight. I played a piece of the recording so they could hear his voice and his words. It was not a perfect fix, but it was something. They took notes, asked Lauren some questions at the doorway, then gave her a case number and a card. Said to call if he came back. After they left, the hallway felt long and empty. Inside, Lauren sat on the couch with Emma tucked into her side. The TV was on now, low, some cartoon throwing soft light across the room. "You want me to go?" I asked from the doorway. "Or stay a bit," quote. Lauren looked at Emma, then back at me. "Can you stay until she falls asleep?" she asked. "I can pay you for your time." "You are not paying me," I said. "And yeah, I can stay." I sat in the armchair across from them, tool bag at my feet. I pretended to watch the cartoon. Really, I watched the way Lauren's hand moved slowly in Emma's hair. The way Emma's breathing evened out with that small touch. After a while, Emma's eyes slid closed. Her grip on the bear loosened. Lauren kept her arm around her for a few more minutes, then eased out from under her slowly, the way only a parent knows how to move. She pulled a blanket over Emma, then crossed to the kitchen. She made coffee without asking if I wanted some, like it was already settled. When she handed me a mug, our fingers brushed. Her hand was not cold anymore, just tired and warm. "Thank you," she said again. "I know you did not sign up for night duty." "I told you," I said. "Night does not scare me." She sank onto the edge of the couch, facing me. "You answered my question," she said, "about single moms." "Yeah," I said. She let out a breath. "I did not think I would get to see the proof this fast," she said. Standing in the hall in the middle of the night, telling my ex to back off. "I did it for the door," I said, trying to lighten it. She shook her head. "You did it for us," she said. "For me and Emma." She held my gaze a long second. "You still feel the same way?" she asked. "About the question?" Quote. My heart gave that same heavy beat as earlier. "Yes," I said. "If anything, I feel it stronger." She looked down at her mug, then back at me. Her eyes were tired and soft and clear at the same time. "I have another question," she said quietly, "but I think it can wait until morning." My skin tightened with curiosity, but I just nodded. "Morning is fine," I said. "I am not going anywhere." And for the first time since I moved into that old brick building, the thought of not going anywhere did not feel like being stuck. It felt like the start of something worth staying for. I dozed in the armchair for maybe an hour, light sleep, the kind you get on job sites when you are waiting on a delivery. Every creak in the building passed through me. None of them were dangerous. The only steady sounds were the fridge humming and the wall clock ticking. When I opened my eyes for real, gray light was pushing past the blinds. My neck ached. My back didn't love the angle. But I was still in 3C, and the first thing I saw was Lauren in the kitchen. She was in an oversized t-shirt and leggings, hair up in a loose knot. No makeup. She had that just woke-up squint, but there was something else in her face, too. A kind of calm I had not seen on her yet. "You snore," she said, voice soft. "I do not snore," I said. She lifted one eyebrow. "You do a little," she said. It was kind of comforting, actually. I sat up and rubbed the back of my neck. "How long have you been up?" I asked. "Half an hour," she said. "Emma's still asleep. She finally knocked out hard around 4. She poured coffee and handed me a mug. "Thanks for staying," she said. Again. "You already said that," I said. "I know," she said. "It doesn't feel like enough." We sat in a quiet that did not feel awkward anymore. It felt like something we had earned. "Did he text?" I asked. She nodded and picked up her phone from the counter. She showed me the screen without reading it aloud. A long message from her ex, flip-flopping between blaming guilt and fake apologies. "I didn't answer," she said. "I started to. Then I stopped." "Good," I said. "We can talk through a plan later. You do not owe him late-night access to your life anymore." She stared at the phone for another second, then set it face down. "Emma has school," she said. "I have to pretend to be a normal person and make cereal." "That is normal," I said. "People eat cereal." She smiled a little and started pulling bowls from the cabinet. "Want some?" she asked. "I have exactly 2 options. Kid sugar and adult boring." "I'll take adult boring," I said. She snorted. "Of course you will," she said. By the time Emma padded out of her room, rubbing her eyes and dragging her bear by one arm, there were 3 bowls on the table. I moved back to the armchair to give them space, but Emma saw me and lit up. "You're still here," she said. "Yeah," I said. "Door inspector. Had to make sure it worked in the morning, too." She nodded seriously and sat down. Lauren watched the exchange with an expression I could not quite read. Soft, careful, measuring. After breakfast, I walked them down to the lobby. Emma's bus stopped at the corner. Lauren stood with a hand on Emma's backpack strap until the bus doors closed and she was on her way. When the bus pulled off, Lauren let her hand drop. She looked smaller for a second with the kid gone. Then she straightened. "So," she said, "morning is here?" "Yeah," I said. "The other question is due," she said. I smiled a little. "You make it sound like homework," I said. She shrugged. "Feels like it," she said. "Big grade attached." We rode the elevator back up in silence. When we stepped into her apartment again, it felt different than it had last night. Same space. New weight. She closed the door, locked it out of habit, then leaned back against it and faced me. "Okay," she said, breathing out. "Here goes." I stayed where I was near the window and waited. I did not fill the quiet. The quiet was hers to use. "You said you don't like pretending with people's lives," she said. "I did," I said. "And you said you would date a single mom if you liked her and respected her," she went on. "I did," I said again. She nodded once, like she was ticking boxes. "Well," she said slowly, "I am a single mom. I think you know that part pretty well now. And I like you. I respect you. A lot. I like the way you show up. I like that you didn't flinch at Emma's meltdown last week in the lobby when she dropped her ice cream. I like that you talk about wood and wiring-like feelings." I let myself smile fully at that. I didn't know that last part was a selling point, I said. "It is for me," she said. She pushed away from the door and took a few steps closer, not all the way, just to the middle of the room. "I don't want you to feel trapped," she said. "You did a good thing last night. You helped us. If this is where it stops for you, I will still be grateful. I will still text you about the door if it squeaks, but if your answer about single moms was not just theory." She swallowed and held my gaze. "Would you want to try this?" she asked. Me. Emma. The way our life actually is. Not some cleaned-up version. Not right away with big titles and promises. Just try. Go on dates that end by 9. Have coffee at weird hours. Be the man at the door because you want to be, not because the landlord sent you. All the air in the room felt thick, but in a good way, like standing in a workshop when the sun comes through the dust and you can see every particle hanging there. I walked toward her slowly. Not dramatic, measured. When I stopped, there were only a few inches between us. I could see the tiny scar at the edge of her eyebrow, the faint dark circles under her eyes from too many night shifts. All the real things. You sure? I asked, because if I say yes, I am not treating this like a weekend project. She let out a shaky laugh. I don't need a weekend project, she said. I need something built to last, even if it takes time. I reached up and rested my hand against the frame of her door. The oak shim behind it, the longer screws, the lock that now sat straight. Then I looked back at her. You know what your ex did when he hit this? I asked. Scared us, she said. Sure, I said. But he also taught us something. He showed you what fails under pressure. That is useful. Now we know exactly where to reinforce. Her eyes shone, but again, no tears fell. She was too used to holding them back. It made the ones that did sneak through later matter more. So what is your answer? She asked, voice small and big at the same time. I dropped my hand from the door and took hers instead. You asked me if I would ever date a single mom, I said. Here's the real version. I don't want to date a single mom as an idea. I want to date you, Lauren, the woman who works nights and still makes cinnamon coffee. The woman whose kid trusts her enough to look at her after a bad night and believe her when she says they are safe. The woman who asks the hard question instead of pretending she didn't care. Her fingers tightened around mine, hard, present. So yes, I said, I do, if you are the one asking. For a moment, she just looked at me. Then she let out a breath that sounded like something finally giving way in a good way. Like a stuck window sliding open. This is the part where I'm supposed to be smooth and say something cool, she said. But all I've got is, thank you. Thank you is plenty, I said. She stepped closer until her chest brushed mine. Her free hand lifted, fingers sliding around the back of my neck. She rose on her toes. I met her halfway. The kiss was not like last night's desperate edge of panic contact. It was slower, deeper. It felt like setting a beam on posts you know will hold. No rush, just right. Her mouth was warm. Her hand at my neck pulled me in, but not like she was afraid I would disappear. More like this was exactly where she wanted me. When we broke apart, our foreheads touched. We stayed there, breathing the same small space of air. So, she murmured, what are we now? We are two people who just decided to try something real, I said. Labels can catch up. Emma is going to ask, she said, a smile ghosting her lips. Then we tell her the truth, I said. We are friends who like each other and are seeing what that looks like. And we make sure she knows nothing changes about how much you are her safe place. Lauren nodded slowly. I can work with that, she said. I squeezed her hand. Good, I said, because I am terrible at lying anyway. She laughed for real then, head tipping back, the sound bright in the small room. It bounced off the walls and made the place feel bigger. Later that week, I came by after my shift with takeout from the good taco truck and a small wooden box I had made in the shop. Emma met me at the door in fuzzy socks, dinosaur in hand. Mom says you're her friend, Emma said, like she was testing the word. I am, I said. Is that okay? She considered. Then she nodded. You fixed our door, she said. That makes you door friend. That might be my favorite title, I said. I handed her the box. She opened it and found compartments inside, each with a little label burned in the wood. Crayons. Tiny toys. Important rocks. Her eyes got wide. For my stuff? She asked. Yeah, I said. So it has a place. She ran her fingers along the edge. It's smooth, she said. That is the point, I said. No splinters. Lauren watched from the kitchen, leaning against the counter. Our eyes met, and something warm moved through my chest. Familiar now. Welcome. I was fixing her door when she first asked me if I would ever date a single mom. At the time, it felt like a hypothetical dropped into a quiet room. Standing there now, with Emma sorting her treasures into a box I built and Lauren pouring 3 cups of cinnamon coffee, there was nothing hypothetical about it. This was what it looked like, I thought. Not a rescue, not a movie. Just 3 people in a small apartment with a strong lock, warm light, and the start of something honest. Real life is not about finding perfect materials. It is about choosing the ones that have already been tested and deciding to build anyway, together. And when the right person turns to you in the middle of all that and asks, "Would you ever date a single mom?" you get to look around at the life you are standing in and say with your whole chest, "I already am."